Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I just wanted to say happy Sunday, football Sunday. I hope everybody's having a great Sunday, a great weekend. I hope everybody had an awesome Labor Day, awesome week in general. I know I did. I went on vacation. That's why I did not upload episodes 4 or 5 of The Shy. I haven't even reviewed Force yet. I need to watch those episodes too. Also, just to decide if I want to review this new season of Force. Power Book 2 Force with Tommy. But yeah, I went on vacation. Had an awesome time with my family in South Carolina. It went by way too fast, and I'm back home. Business as usual. So back to, regular degular. I'm home now. I work in the morning, so I'm just like, But all in all, I'm back. Videos are gonna be, coming again. I'm gonna be consistent, and yeah, so let's just jump right into it. This was an emotional episode, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if it was the music or just the fact that I think we all knew it was coming, and I will get to that towards the end of the video, but here we go. Alright, so I'm going to be reading The Shy Season 6, Episode 6, Boyz II Men. Let's jump right into it. So, in this episode, we have, starting off, Keisha and Emmett, they're just having a discussion, basically, because in the previous episode, Keisha, I think she's about to do laundry. She had just came home from her therapy session, and she discovered a duffel bag full of money. And so now we're back, into that scene pretty much, with Emmett and Keisha having a discussion about the duffel bag. And, her letting him know, like, you're putting this family in danger. Actually, not that you are putting us in danger. We're already in it. Like, we're consumed by it. We're in it, and there's no going back. There's, like, how do you plan to get us out of this? I'm gonna leave. This just isn't good at all. And Emmett's just like, well, Keisha, you were, if you weren't working and this and that. I'm like, wait a minute, Emmett. Keisha just lost her job. And he's unfortunately trying to blame it on Keisha, which is pretty dumb because, yeah, I get Keisha has been hard on Emmett. Like, this whole entire season so far has not been letting up, but Emmett is also grown and makes decisions for himself with his family in mind. And even as he said later in this episode, during the men's therapy session with each other, he was trying to be a big man, stunt, flex, show off, whoopty whoopty woo. And so, yeah, like, he can't just put all the blame on Keisha. And, as we've seen throughout this season so far, a lot of the couples have been having a lot of just moments with each other and just not seeing eye to eye. And I don't really think they've been having any resolutions either. Like, okay, how do we plan to solve it? Or it's mostly like on one person, like, okay, well, what do you plan to do? So we haven't really come to a resolution, especially with Emmett and Keisha, which is unfortunate because it just seems like stuff is just continuously piling up on their relationship. And throughout the season so far, it's been a lot of secrets amongst everybody. And so I don't know, but I don't know what's gonna come of this, but hopefully, either Keisha's able to help Emmett out, or everybody in general just kind of comes together because Emmett's just not going to be able to do it alone, and that's something that we do see later in the episode. All right, so moving on, we are in Victor's office, and we see an FBI agent, coming to talk to Victor. And Quincy's also there, and Victor is keeping hush mouth. He's not saying too much. The FBI agent is pretty good. He's pretty on point with noting that, he doesn't think Victor was the killer, but he does think Victor did have something to do with it, even though his main focus is Duda, and just basically trying to get Victor to talk. And Quincy, it was a good thing that he was there because you can tell Victor, being in the hot seat, basically, was feeling the pressure. And he looked like he wanted to say something, but, when Quincy kind of stepped in, it was like, all right, he's right. You don't have a warrant. I'm not going to say anything. You don't have anything on me. So I think it's best, that you go on about your day. If I know something, I'll let you know. Until then, he's playing the same role of just not telling anything. He doesn't know anything. And that's pretty much that. Next, we have Darnell and Emmett. Darnell is home, and I love Jada and Darnell's home. It just looks so beautiful. I don't know. Okay, it's just probably me, but it just looks so beautiful, so homey, so cozy, just really nice. And it just gives you that like, I don't know, family. Just I don't know. It's just such a vibe to me. And so, anyways, we have Darnell home, and Emmett comes by to ask for that fire, the gun. And so he wants the gun back from Darnell, and Darnell is like, what do you need it for? And Emmett's like, well, you said if I asked you for it, you would give it back, so I need it, That's that. And basically Darnell tells Emmett the truth, that you're not about this life, even though we don't really know much about Darnell's life prior to us being introduced to him, but he has noted even to Judah that he is about that life. Darnell is, Emmett's not. Okay, so and that's the same thing he tells Emmett, like, you're not about that life, so whatever you're thinking about doing, don't. And next we do see Emmett kind of get home, and basically he's playing around with the gun in the mirror, same thing he did the day of when Judah gave it to him at the housewarming party, just playing around with it, pointing it at himself in the mirror, I guess practicing how he was going to confront Judah. And it's just like, okay, you're shaky. Like, it's not a good look. His hand's really shaky. He looks nervous. You could tell, like, he's really not about it. And again, similar to everybody, I think with hopefully eventually, not even eventually, sooner than later, I hope everybody realizes that stronger and better in numbers, okay? Because individually, everybody does have something against Judah, but I'm going to need everybody as a collective to come together, because stronger in numbers. Like, I don't see everybody just confronting Judah on their own, because they know, even as Rob said later in the episode, he's a powerful man. And so it's just like... So, moving on, it is class picture day. Which is awesome, because it's crazy to think about it. Like, we're in season 6. Hopefully there are more seasons. It's gonna be sad if this is the last season, because like, that's gonna make me so upset. But hopefully this isn't the last season, because it's been really good so far. It was a little shaky before, but it's been really good so far, and it's just been really nice to see the kids grow up and their just transformation over the seasons from season 1 till now. So it's class picture day. Everybody looks amazing. Jake with the mean mug is so funny. That wasn't my mean mug, but like that was hilarious. I was like, come on now, Jake, you can smile, but he's Jake to the T, so he's not gonna do it, so I laughed about that, and Papa and them just coming out with the confetti was super cute. Yeah, I love how confident Myasia is, Lene, everybody. So it was just nice to see them have their class picture day and class moment. And, unfortunately, well, not even unfortunately, we do see, at some point in this episode, Gemma, who was not in the class, who did not participate in class picture day, which I don't remember if she goes to a different school or not, or if she just dropped out of high school. I don't even think so, because I lied. I take that back. I don't think she ever dropped out of high school, because I know her dad keeps talking about graduation day coming. But we do see her, talking with her dad, because again, he keeps reminding her, Marcus keeps telling her, like, hey, graduation is coming up. You need to pick some colleges because your funds are basically gone. You're out of money. And she just, was explaining to Sierra, like, what can I do? I don't want to go to college. I don't even want to do community college. But she did kind of poke that at her dad. Like, community college is just as good as Ivy League. And he was just like, don't do anything to spite me. Do it for yourself, So, yeah, Gemma does not, necessarily, I don't think she graduates. I'm not sure. But, she did come to the graduation eventually. She was there. But, yeah, so she just wasn't at the class picture day with them. And so, I don't think she cares because she's pretty headstrong about what she wants to do anyways. So moving on, we do see Bakari dealing, getting his own consequences, which were the bad consequences given to him via Duda, of course, just for the simple fact that his Lambo was, I guess, taken by the cops. Because, as we've seen in the previous episode in prom night, Bakari was speeding in a Lambo. He just needs, one of these upside the head. Because, oh my gosh, in the back of his neck, what's wrong with you? Why were you speeding in the Lambo? Bakari was speeding in the Lambo, and not only was he speeding, he got arrested. Because the car was stolen, so, of course, Duda was beating him up. And, of course, after he gets his punishment, Duda walks off, talks to Nuck, and they are standing there hey, we don't have a place to wash this dirty money. We, asking multiple businesses, and nobody is, wanting to take the money. And with Pastor Stanley's message, people are pretty on edge, and they're scared. And so Nuck, same way as Bakari, is very, loyal to a certain extent, but very, eager to do a job. I never hear Zay say, I'll figure it out, or I got it, or I'll solve it. It's always either Nuck or Bakari, and this time, of course, it was Nuck, who, so happened to mention that, he has it, you know what, I'll figure it out, I'll find some place for us to clean our dirty money. Which then again, I have never seen, Nuck, if he ever did anything that I know of, I've never seen him get any consequences or anything. I mean, granted, last episode he did get yelled at, but that wasn't to the certain extent of you going against Duda and not solving something in a timely manner. I've never seen Nuck get beat up by Duda or anything like that. So I don't know if that's coming soon, or if he can't find a place to clean the money, if he's gonna get hurt by Duda possibly, because he's so loyal. I wonder what Duda would do if if Nuck wasn't obedient or fast enough with getting stuff done. I wonder how Duda would flip on Nuck, and if that would make Nuck flip on Duda. I don't know if that, I'm kind of curious if that would happen, thinking out loud, if that would happen at any point in this season, because we always see Nuck being super loyal to Duda, so yeah. Next we have, sorry, my notes are over here. Next we have Fatima, Quincy, and Victor. They are discussing, basically how things are going, which basically Victor confesses to Fatima that, he's pretty much an accomplice to murder of Quentin, or Uncle Q. And so Fatima, her whole life flashes before her eyes, because I think she always thought of Victor in a certain way, and to hear this, it's just wait a minute, you have this, of course everybody has a past, but she just didn't know the extent of him being a street guy, and his name in the streets is Trig for a reason. So I love this cup. It's amazing. It keeps everything cold for such a long period of time. But anyways, yeah, so Fatima's just looking I thought things were peachy, creamy, beautiful, easy breezy, beautiful cover girl, and it's not. And so she's freaking out, but, she is supportive, even though she tells him that he needs to talk to the FBI and let them know, he really didn't kill Quincy. He did have something to do with it because he did expose the body, but he didn't kill him. So, and Victor's I'm not doing that. They don't have anything on me. There's nothing to say. Everything is good. So we're good. And, you can see Quincy's face kind of But in my head, I'm jeez. I'm so mad because Rosalind already told Victor, you don't know nothing, you didn't see anything, you didn't hear anything. And what does Victor do? He turns around and he tells Fatima. He tells Quincy, and I think the realtor guy, or I don't even know if Quincy went back and told the realtor guy, but is realtor Bay. But it's just like, oh my gosh, sorry, something's in my eye. Like, Victor, you're talking too much for somebody that's supposed to be quiet. Like, you're bringing so much attention to yourself now, and everybody knows. At this point, you're just dragging everybody into your mess because you're not keeping quiet. So now, it's just like this person knows, and they could either use it against you, or they could tell on you, or they could blackmail you, or they could tell on you, or they could get sucked into it if this goes to trial, or whatever the case may be. Even if it does get there, but they could probably have to testify, or it's just, I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too far ahead, but I'm like, Victor, just shut the heck up. Shut up. Like Roslyn said, you didn't hear nothing, you don't know nothing, you didn't say nothing. I think the only person that like we saw in this episode that really needed to be told the truth was Rob, and that did happen, but still, to a certain extent. But still, it was just like everybody else, they didn't need to know. I lied. Maybe Fatima, because, you guys are in a relationship, you do live together. But anybody else other than that, at that point, no. Next we do have a little bit of a sweet moment. And, sidebar to the sweet moment I'm about to talk about, I was really happy, I guess, how Fatima handled it. Because I think if it was Imani, I think she still would have left Victor like she did, in I think season 2 or 3. I don't think her response to this would have been the same, because I think if we remember, her reason for not coming back and marrying Victor was because she saw the video of him getting into a physical altercation with Bakari. So if she would have known this, that would have been like either a final straw or just like, But Fatima did handle it differently. At first I thought we were going to have an Imani situation where that would have been her final straw. Like, I can't do this. I don't want to be with you. I don't want nothing to deal with this. But she was, supportive and trying to like calm him down and stuff. Because you could see Victor looks a little scared. But yeah, so moving on, we do see a beautiful and just heartwarming heart-to-heart with Pastor Stanley and Papa for Papa's pulpit, and they're basically just talking about family, about time, which is something that Pastor Stanley has been talking about for a while, especially time, and time management, time, and I just don't like the ending of this episode because time was just not on his side. Anyways, it was so sad. But yeah, they have a heart-to-heart, and Papa Stanley, or Pastor Stanley, should I say, he gives Papa a watch that has been handed down generation after generation in their family, amongst the men in his family, and so Pastor Stanley gives Papa a watch, a pocket watch. I'm just like, aw, that was so sweet. Like, it was nice to see, and you could tell it was just super sentimental. Papa loved it. It was a really special episode, like Papa said, of Papa's pulpit, and yeah, it was nice to see that heart-to-heart before all the drama and extra stuff kicked in. We also, moving on to the next scene, we do have, Jada. Obviously, she's home, and it looks like it's pretty much late at night, and she's just chilling on the couch, but she does have this uneasy, worried look on her face, and, Darnell comes home. He said he was hanging with Rashad, and basically, he's like, what's wrong? Like, are you okay? And she lets him know that she's getting this uneasy, I guess, motherly instinct feeling that something is wrong with Emmett. And, I don't think we have yet to see Jada really talk to Emmett. We've mostly been seeing Darnell talking to Emmett, Keisha talking to Emmett, but not really Jada as of yet. So I hope, maybe in next week's episode that she does have that mother and son heart-to-heart conversation with Emmett, because he needs it. And I know Darnell thinks he's doing, something as a father figure, stepping up and, stepping in. But it's just like, I don't know. I'm kind of disappointed because there's so many secrets. Like, I feel like that would affect Jada if she found out, like, something could have been prevented, or they could have helped Emmett especially herself, if she could have done something to help Emmett sooner, or whatever the case may be, because Darnell doesn't even tell her, like, something's going on with Emmett. I think because he doesn't want her to worry, but I think if something does happen to Emmett, it's going to make her worry even more because she already has this uneasy feeling. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, what if something doesn't happen to Emmett, but it happens to Keisha, or, people closest to them? So it just kind of, like, makes me worry. I was already worried about Emmett. He's still up here on my worry list, especially when it comes to Doodah and him trying to confront Doodah every chance he gets, because it's just like, as he said in the men's therapy session, like, you're already in deep trouble. So, yeah. Well, next we have Victor. He goes and talks to Pastor Stanley. It's the next day, basically, and that makes me laugh because I know Victor was really going to talk to Pastor Stanley to get some kind of direction. I think he really wanted a concrete, like, you should do this kind of answer, but Pastor Stanley was just like, pray about it. Let God basically fight your battles in so many words, and, you'll figure it out. It'll come to you. And Victor was like, dang it. Not the answer I was looking for. I was kind of looking for you to tell me, like, exactly what I should do, but Pastor Stanley, in all, really does say that, dude has a problem and he needs to go sooner, than later, and that was just a slight answer, but not really much Pastor Stanley could say, because he was like, I can't tell you what to do, you have to figure that out for yourself. And so Victor's like, yeah, he respects that, but he really was looking for, like, a you should do this kind of thing. And of course, as I've spoken on it many times already, we do have Emmett, basically going after this to confront, Doodah, and it blows me in a sense, because it's like, Emmett, I feel like everybody is stronger in numbers, and I'm going to need them to actually come together, because everybody has a common denominator, a common target, a common person that they all are trying to get over, to get past, who gives them the same kind of issues. I just need them to come together, because you can't do it alone. And I think Emmett learned that when Doodah basically punches Emmett and was just like, there's no getting over me. There's no going under me. There's no getting past me. There's no getting around without me. Like, you need me. I bought you the house, the car, gave you all this money, elevated Smokies. Like, I bought you the clothes. And I'm like, ugh. That is just, like, embarrassing a little bit, but, like, dang, like, I just would never want to be that deep involved with somebody where they can say that kind of thing, because it's just, like, yeah, you're really deep in with Doodah, and him threatening to take it away like he's your father or somebody of that stature is just like, oh gosh, okay. And I did like how Emmett was just like, the people respect me, they like you, but like me, but they only work for you, which means you have so many targets on your back, like, nobody respects you. They just listen to you because they're probably scared, but once they get in their head and see who you really are, and just kind of like come to realization, they're going to be more on my side than your side, because Doodah obviously thought that he could threaten Emmett by saying he could, basically unalive him, kill him, take him out, and Emmett was just like, yeah, you do that, and you're going to create a whole uproar. And so I'm interested to see what the uproar is going to be for Pastor Stanley, because as we know, at the end of this episode, he did get taken out, but I hope everybody goes to back and really, like, that puts the battery in their back to fight back at Doodah before this season is over, because I think we have 16 episodes and we're on episode 6, so yeah. Like I said earlier, we do have Victor. He talks to Rob. Rob is irritated because he already talked to Victor earlier in the season. I think it was either episode 1 or 2, and he confronted him about Uncle Quincy, and like, did he know anything? And freaking Rob was like, no, I don't know anything, I don't know what you're talking about. And so that pisses me off, because I would be pissed off like Rob, because Rob's like, why are you telling me now? Why now? Even though I think Rob knew it was Doodah, but now it's just confirmation. And of course Rob has to go and confront Doodah and figure out a game plan, because Alicia's not going to let that slide. So, because they do have a deal, which she did mention. So, yeah. we'll see how that goes. Next we meet, not even next, because some point in time in this episode we did have, Bakari, he goes to Nina and Dre's house to speak to Lene, but Nina, basically opens the door and it's like, Lene's on punishment. That's not happening, but I can relay the message. She does look a little bit concerned, but at the same time Bakari's not her kid, so she's just like, okay, sorry. She does say, like, what's your, are you okay? Like, what's going on? And so, he's just like, I'm fine. Everything is good, and kind of walks off. And as he walks off, he sees Jamal. And so him and Jamal are right around the city. Jamal is just basically letting him know that, like, he is concerned about him, and just the simple fact that, he needs to get it together. All in all, he needs to get it together. And Bakari is like, your sister's all I have to live for, which I'm like, oh my gosh, that is so sweet. And Jamal is just like, I know, and I don't think Jamal would even go as hard if he didn't like Bakari, and he doesn't see himself, if he didn't see himself in Bakari, because I feel like Jamal does see himself in Bakari, and I think that's why he's going so hard. And I think even though initially he felt like Bakari wasn't good for his sister, just seeing how much he cares for his sister kind of makes him step into that role too, of like, I gotta look out for Bakari too, because I was once in his shoes and I don't want him going down the same path that I went down. So yeah, and so anyways, Jamal and Bakari end up pulling up to Pastor Stanley's house, and Bakari is looking like, hold up now, that face looks familiar. It's his sister. I don't know if it's his younger sister, but I assume because she looks younger than Bakari a little bit. Maybe like a year or two. But anyways, it's his sister, Brittany. Brittany's sitting on the stairs, and Bakari's super excited to see her, but he's like, are you hitting licks? Like, what are you doing out here? And she's just like, oh, I found you, da-da-da-da. Nothing crazy. I need a place to crash. She's like, you can't do it because I'm already crashing here. I can't be inviting guests to the person's house I'm already crashing at. It doesn't work that way. But you be safe. Here's my number. Basically, I'm not going to change it. If you need something, text me. And I was like, okay, cool. It was nice to see her. Of course, moving forward, we have Jada, Tracy, and Dre without Nina, which is kind of like, where's Nina? They're having a conversation about Tracy's decision to hire Monica, which is Dre's ex-fiance. Now, Tracy's like, what the heck? Like, Dre, you should have told me, I wouldn't have done that. And Dre's like, yeah, no, it's fine. I mean, it's nice seeing her. And, they've been texting, Monica and Dre have, and just talking, and I think hanging out. But I'm not sure. I know it was an issue last episode because Keisha came past the house, and I think that was the argument as well of them texting. And I know later in the episode, Monica brings it up that Dre did kind of slow down in texting, but I think it's because Nina doesn't like it. Jada and Tracy are more on the fence of like, Dre, why are you texting your ex-fiance? Not just your ex, but ex-fiance, which means you were about to marry her. That's a big commitment. Why are you texting her? And so, Jada's just like, are you doing this because Nina cheated on you with, I can't remember Debrat's name, on the show, that one episode where Nina cheated, but, she cheated on Dre, and so they were like, Dre, you're just doing this to get back, and she's like, no, it's nice for lesbians to hang out with other lesbians and not just straight heterosexual females, because we get each other, and, it's nice to hang with you guys, but she understands me as well. Which is probably true. I don't know how long they've been together, or were together, but I guess. But at the same time, you're in a whole marriage with Nina, and it's just like, or with someone, in general, and you're talking to your ex-fiance, so probably not a good idea, at all. You could say there's no feelings involved, or you're just doing it because of this, but I don't know. Next, of course, as I mentioned, we did have Rob. He goes to Alicia's house, who is his mom, Lynn Whitfield, and he basically lets her know, like, I found out it was Duda, and she's having, like, a lunch kind of party or whatever, And so, like, just some kind of lunch get together. And so he tells her, and she's just looking at him like, well, you know what to do. And he's just like, ah. Oh. And she's like, no, we had an agreement. You want the 100K, do what you were asked to do. And she was like, you know what? You're not even the type that looks like you can do it by yourself. Find somebody or find some people you trust. And he's like, I don't trust anybody. And she's like, that's a you problem. I got to get back to my lunch. And he's just sitting there like, ugh. It doesn't give me mother and son kind of feel or vibe. And again, that's just something I mentioned a while back in one of my videos, that I really wish Tiff would have kind of asked him more about Alicia, or they would have talked about Alicia, because I don't get that vibe from them. And I would like to know their backstory too, about what happened with them. Why did they act like that towards each other? Why are they not close? That whole kind of thing, because she can see that that's not Rob's whole thing. Maybe selling weed is, but not offing doodah. It's just something, you know, you could tell he just seems so cool, calm, and collected, and that's just way far up his alley. Protecting Tiff, yeah, you know, standing up for Tiff and people he loves, but that, no. Okay, so moving forward, we are, you know, at Dre and Nina's house, and they are having an argument about Nina, you know, feeling that Dre should not be talking to Monica at all. No, she doesn't want to hang out with either one of them together. Like, all three of them just go hang out. It's just not something cool. And she's like, what's wrong with Jada and Tracy? And she, you know, Dre is just like, no, I mean, it's cool, but you just don't get it. And so Nina's frustrated. In walks Kevin without a knock or a phone call. Well, he did call Dre and let her know, like, hey, I'm going to be coming over, you know. I need to, you know, stop by the house. So, of course, Dre forgets, but she's like, oh, yeah, you did reach out. You did let me know. Sorry, because Nina's already heated. She's flipping out. And she's like, okay, is this something I need to sit down for? And Kevin's like, well, yeah, probably. So he basically lets them know, I'm moving to LA. And Nina, you know, being mama bear, especially because Kevin is her baby and her only son, and just letting him know, like, I don't like it. I feel like I'm like the last to know, even though he just let them know. And he didn't really tell them, like, when the sponsor did let them know. I think he told Emmett first, because I do recall them suit shopping, and he told Emmett right then and there, but he didn't really let Nina and Dre know right away, so that kind of pisses Nina off for the most part. And then, you know, because she's already pissed about Keisha moving in with Emmett and making such a big commitment and a big decision without letting her know. And, you know, now you have him moving from Chicago to LA, and that's not, like, same city is one thing, east side, west side, south side. I'm not really familiar with Chicago, sorry, from Baltimore, so that's about all I know for the most part, but, he didn't really let her know, and it's a whole difference when you're moving within the city to a whole nother state, so that is just, like, and I get it, because Nina has been through a lot with her kids, especially on her own, and then, you know, just different stuff. So I can understand why she's so frustrated and so worried. But, you know, basically Dre, being like the counselor that she is, lets Kevin know, like, I'm going to talk to your mom. And, you know, I'm your mom too, but I'm also going to just try to explain it to her when she calms down. And everything's going to be okay. We support you, even though Nina is, like, on edge and doesn't seem like she supports the decision. We still support you. We love you, and we're happy for you. All right, so we do have men's group, and before men's group, Papa gets into it with Pastor Stanley about him being on time, because Papa decides to go visit Kenya, and they have a conversation with her son present of, like, whether he'll be up for this, and, you know, does he think he'll be okay with it? And he's just like, yeah, it's going to take some getting used to, but it's not going to stop me from having feelings for you or liking you. Well, anyways, Papa gets home. He has the men's group with Victor and the other guys. And, you know, Kevin and Jake and Bakari are now part of it. But he's running late. And so Pastor Stanley's like, I give you a pocket watch, and how are you not on time? Like, Pastor Stanley does not play about time. Being on time, setting that precedent and being the leader and you know, making a good example of yourself. So Papa slips up and he says, basically, Dad, I was with my girl. And so Pastor Stanley's like, what girl? And he's like, oh, the girl that's going to take to prom. And so Pastor Stanley's just like, I've never met her. So basically he's like, that's Minister Bailey's daughter. We already know from like episode 2 or 3, I believe, that via Papa's mouth, of course, Pastor Stanley does not care for Minister Bailey at all. Okay, which is Kenya's dad. And so Pastor Stanley basically admits to that, like, he stepped out on his wife multiple times. And he passed the collection plate around like 3 or more times during service, and so it's just not something that is a good look. It's just, he doesn't like it, and he doesn't want Papa to be dating Kenya or talking to Kenya or have anything to do with Kenya, especially because she has a son, and she's 19 years old, and she's still young, similar to Papa, and he feels as though if Minister Bailey was focused on his family instead of other things that are not good, things with Kenya would not have gone the way they have, and, etc. Papa being like, oh, we're about to graduate, and same thing that most young people do, especially when they turn 18 or about to turn 18. I'm grown, you can't tell me what to do. That was Papa's attitude for like the rest of the episode. So he basically was looking at Pastor Stanley like, I'm grown, I'm my own man, and Pastor Stanley was just like, you're gonna obey me, or else there are just gonna be consequences. Like, I don't care what you're saying, you're very still much young-minded, okay? Same thing that Victor was kind of getting at with Jake earlier in the episode. You're still young-minded. This is a grown adult conversation, and yes, you may live in this house, but you still abide by the rules until you decide to move out, or not even decide until you actually are out of this house. And even if that, you're still a kid, So, yeah. We do have men's group, and it's just kind of interesting to see how the older and the younger are interacting. Everybody goes around the group and talk. Bakari explains about his sister Brittany, and then being in foster care. Rashad is still talking about lusting after women, which is hilarious because I love Rashad. He's like the little comedic relief a little bit within the men's group because he's always like, you know what, bump that. I'm not ashamed. I'll talk first, even though they're secrets and they don't, like Victor said, we don't go into detail about the situation, but we figure out a solution of how we could be there for one another. So Marcus doesn't know Rashad's talking about Tiara. Jake and Victor kind of come to some resolution, even though Jake was like, what if I'm not praying for you? Like, how else can we support you? Because he's like, just trust me. So nobody knows Victor's situation really. Everybody kind of knows about Emmett and Duda, but they don't know, like, okay, the extent. Like, Darnell knows. So even Victor had to remind Darnell, like, we don't need the details, just how can we help you? Same thing with Marcus, even though him and Jake still had that little tit for tat moment, but Marcus was like, he's trying to protect his daughter because he cares about her, And the same way that, Jamal is kind of with Lene, even though he was happy to see Bakari, but Jamal is like that as well. And same way with Papa, it was interesting because they get a father's point of view and a parent's point of view. Because after Marcus said that, Papa was like, well, we're young, we're going to make mistakes. Like, even if you guys think they're mistakes, they may not be mistakes to us. And so, Kevin agrees because he just got into it with his mom and, Nina. So it's just like, it was nice to see that bouncing off of each other kind of thing and just them being able to connect. And I think like Jamal said, it was good to have the youth there because they need, he felt like as he was younger, he needed that as well. And I think that is true. Like, these days is really much needed, especially if adults looking back, you could say to yourself, like, yeah, when I was a kid, I would have definitely needed this, especially like a group therapy session and, stuff like that. So, of course, on a lighter note, we get graduation, which is awesome because Kevin is the valedictorian. Like, he's the keynote speaker. He's making the speech for everybody. And before he even makes the speech, you see Fatima and Victor there, Bakari, Nina, Dre, you see Keisha and Emmett there, you see Pastor Stanley and, his wife, you see Marcus and Gemma and Tiara there, Of course, you see Duda, and he stays for the graduation, which is so annoying because he tried to confront Bakari again. Like, I need to speak to you in the hallway, which I don't know if it was either to tell him, like, don't you ever try this ish again, or you're sitting with me, or you don't forget who you belong to, or work. I don't know what he was going to say, but Rashad, who was also there, was looking like, we're not having it. And Victor takes note, and Emmett takes note. And again, I think Duda is seeing the same thing that Emmett said earlier of, like, people really care for them. Duda, not so much. So they are stronger in numbers because Rashad and Victor both kind of go behind Bakari, and they tell him, you're not going anywhere unless we're present, and we're going to be there for the conversation, which Duda gets off put by because he's like, excuse me, and Victor basically tells him, Bakari, go sit down. So Bakari goes and sits next to Pastor Stanley, maybe with his head held down. But, he still sat down, okay? So he goes and sits down, and Pastor Stanley has this kind of eye contact with Duda, and Duda smirks, and I'm just like, dang, dang, dang. It pisses me off. I'm really pissed because Duda stays for the freaking graduation, and he looks super excited to see Jake, which I'm just like, what is your thing with Jake? Makes me wonder, but nonetheless, graduation was amazing. It was good. And Kevin makes the most short but realistic and just encouraging speech to the class of 2023 on the show. And just, giving them hope, basically. Like, they can do anything in whatever path they choose to go. Live your life. Do it for you. Don't let anybody discourage you. Whether you go to college or you don't go to college, do what you love to do. Which is so important. And it was just so, like, I don't know, like, heartwarming to see Kevin making the speech, because I just recall season 1, I think episode 1 of The Shy, of him witnessing Coogie's death, and how that trickled so many events of him being so little, and just, his dealings with Ronnie, and just, like, and then him going to Brandon, and, like, all the stuff that these kids have had to go through, especially Kevin from, like, the first episode in the first season, and just everything is crazy. So to see Kevin, like, I'm going to go to LA, I'm going to be a gamer, yeah. It was just like, oh my gosh, it was just nice to see. Because I look back and I was like, these kids have really grown up. We watched them grow up, especially Kevin, and it's just like, oh my gosh, it's just nice. Of course, after graduation, everybody's eating, having a good time at the dinner table, and Pastor Stanley is just kind of like looking in disgust at Papa, like, I saw Kenya, which I forgot to mention, Kenya and her son came to Papa's graduation, and he was like, I thought I told you to leave her alone. Well, of course, we get Papa. He stands up, and he's just like, I'm grown. Basically, you don't have to talk to me about that. She has a name, because I think Pastor Stanley was like, that girl and her son. And basically, Papa was like, her name is Kenya, okay, and she's my girl. She's not going anywhere. And Pastor Stanley was just like, excuse me. The mom, of course, was just like, well, wait a minute now. And if Bakari has to tell you, like, all right, everybody, let's chill, that means you're treading on thin ice. Papa, calm down. You never act like this. Like, sit down. Usually it's Bakari, but this time it was just like, if Bakari even has to tell you, like, you're doing too much, Papa. Basically, because Pastor Stanley was like, you walk out the door, you're not coming back. You don't live here, basically. And so Papa walks out. He leaves. So it's like, dang, you don't even have a home anymore. But that doesn't mean, like, Pastor Stanley and his mom don't still care about him. It's just Pastor Stanley's not going to tolerate the disrespect. Unfortunately, it sucks because that was their last exchange, and I know that's just going to weigh so heavily on Papa, because even at the party, which was like a little kickback of, like, all the graduates, kind of, you could see Papa was in thought, like, he was thinking, and he even mentioned to Bakari, because, sorry, Bakari came over and was like, Papa, you good? I'll still sneak you in the back door. Like, you're good. You still live there. Like, calm down. Don't worry about it. Let's just enjoy the party, Bakari's sister Brittany comes through and she basically raps on the mic. She's spitting a hot fire, killing the beat. Everybody's nodding like, oh snap, like, who is this? All right now, like, she can spit. Kevin is like, dang, that girl is dope. Like, she's a great rapper. Myasia, not feeling it, doesn't like it, doesn't care about it. She's all right, like, not even all that. And Kevin's just like, well, wait a minute, sidebar, him and Myasia already had a conversation about Kevin going to LA, and basically she wasn't for it. Kevin's like, do you want to just be a local rapper, or do you want to go worldwide? Because I'm about to take my talents to the top. I want you right along with me. And then they agree, I think, for him to, like, fly her out first class. But, just don't leave her behind kind of thing. And so, yeah, that's basically what they kind of come to. But of course, Myasia's just like, yeah, she's all right, but I think Myasia feels like she's better. And then of course you see Gemma is liking it, so that kind of ticks Myasia off even more, because Gemma does go and have a conversation with Brittany. A little bit of flirty energy there, not gonna lie. And so, because Jake had to come over, like, hold up, that's my girl. Mm-mm. And, Gemma's basically like, hey, I would like to manage you. You're going to need some support. Can't give you a place to stay. That's not happening. But I do need somebody else to manage, because that's something that her and Tiara were talking about. If you want to take it to the top, if you want money, if you want to promote, if you don't want to go to college, find somebody else. As being in the music industry, you're going to need multiple people to manage. And she's like, well, I can't do it without Myasia, or just doing it alone with Myasia. And Tiara's like, well, find somebody else. And I think Gemma has literally found somebody, which is Brittany. So we'll see where that's going to lead throughout the rest of the season, and definitely next episode, if Brittany's in next episode. Because in this episode, we didn't even get Tiff. So yeah, maybe she'll be in next episode as well. This has been a long video, and we're just gonna have to close it out on a sad note with Pastor Stanley praying, reading the word, the Bible. I knew as soon as the music started going, and as soon as he started praying, I was like, this is it. We're about to lose Pastor Stanley. They're about to take Pastor Stanley on to glory. And it just makes me so sad. Like, I really like Pastor Stanley, and all of his, like, messages and his words of wisdom to Bakari, and not only just Bakari, like, Papa. And I just hate it. I just knew with that last argument, like, that was going to be their final conversation. No resolution, because that's really how it happens in real life with some people. Where something happens and you just ended on a bad note, and that's literally your, like, last goodbye. And it kind of hits you like, dang. So I'm really concerned for Papa. I've been looking at the body height, and I'm thinking it was Nuck, because I remember Duda, I think in episode 4 or 5, told Nuck to handle it. And I feel like it was Nuck. I was thinking it was Zay, but I'm like, he's so short. Like, you could literally look down on him. So I'm like, But he's also super eager. But then it would... In my head, I'm like, a plot twist would be if it was Dante. But I'm just like, no, I don't know. Because I'm like, wow, that would be so weird to, like, have Dante go kill Pastor Stanley. But at the same time, I'm like, what if it was Dante? Because... yeah, that's just me and my thoughts, but I really do think it was Nuck. I did watch the teaser for episode 7, the like little trailer or whatever, and it looks like everybody's confronting Nuck, so I'm assuming it is Nuck. And I know that Papa was telling Bakari that it was one of his boys, so I can't stand Nuck. At this point, Nuck's just gonna have to go too, right along with Duda and Zay, and we're just gonna have to clean slate everybody at this point, okay? Because why? Like, I get loyalty, I guess, but so yeah, I am really sad about it. I'm going to, so sorry, I don't, yeah, my shirt does that. I'm going to miss Pastor Stanley and his words of wisdom. And the fact that they took him home to glory, I really wish he would have lasted the whole season. I'm hoping that nobody else goes home to glory because I just don't know if I'll be able to handle that. That will make me so sad. And again, my quick summary thoughts, I need everybody just to work together at this point. And I'm interested to see how the community is going to react to Judah, and how the whole group's going to react. I don't know. It's just so sad. All in all, thank you for watching. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Again, I'm not sure if I'm going to be reviewing Force. I still have yet to watch episodes 1 and 2, which I really do need to get on that. And I've heard people say that there's some people from the Shy that are also on Force, which I'm like, oh, that's so awesome. So I'm excited to watch that as well. I know Bakari, I think his name is Ahmad Ferguson. His actual government name, I believe, is Ahmad Ferguson. So I know he's on Force. But I think they also said Dre, which I forgot her name. She's also on Force as well. So I'm just like, ooh. And I think some other people as well. So I'm excited to watch this new season. Again, I was not too thrilled with them sending Pastor Stanley on to glory. But I'm excited because I think this season is actually starting to pick up. And it's getting more and more intense. So again, closing out, please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I do appreciate you for just at least making it through the whole video, half the video, or however far you've made it in this video or any of my videos. I do greatly appreciate it. I hope you guys have an awesome week this week. Yeah, and thank you so much for tuning in. Please do me a favor and just go watch the other videos that I have on my channel, and there'll be more videos to come. Thank you so much. Bye.